Jumpin In on Manx Radio.
With Howard and Chris Kane.
Hello.
Good evening.
And welcome. And yes, we're off again in the wonderful magical merry-go-round, which is the best in modern and contemporary jazz from around the globe. Jumping in with myself, H.
And me, Chris. Yes, welcome along to this week's show. And yes, thank you. We had a terrific time at the London Jazz Festival and managed to catch up with some great players whilst we were there, and hope to bring you some interviews in future shows. But for today, it's time to dust off a few new releases, as we haven't managed to fit many in the last couple of weeks. So H, what's keeping you awake at night this week? Is it the too early for Christmas lighting popping up all over the island? Or the fact that Cadbury's cream eggs are back in the shops? Other brands no doubt are available, just sneaking it in time for Easter 2024.
Yes, mind boggles, doesn't it? I haven't even started shopping yet. Right, a new oldie, as they say. Wooden jazz. Yeah, I know, wooden music indeed, from Tomasz Stanko, but not the latest Tomasz Stanko. Sadly, he's no longer with us, but one of his early ones, which has just been re-released, and you can certainly find that in Bandcamp and other places. I'm staying very seasonal. November with Jeremy Pelt and a newie not out yet from ACT in their Young German Jazz series.
And from me, well, we look happy, we play better than the rest, we have no regrets, and to kick us off, an album that's been eagerly awaited since her debut album back in 2020 from the Vanessa Perica Orchestra. Here's the title track of their new album, The Eye is the First Circle. Good stuff, isn't it? The Eye is the First Circle, the fantastic new release from the Vanessa Perica Orchestra. As with their debut release, Love is a Temporary Madness, Vanessa's gathered together 18 of the top Australian players for the band, and she said this time the inspiration came from many sources. That, the title track, The Eye is the First Circle, being a painting from the abstract expressionist painter Lee Krasner, the wife of Jackson Pollock, as well as from the highs and lows of lockdown over the last few years, including the sad passing of her cat. And it's packed with emotion and dynamic range, as with her debut. Out now on all the major streaming platforms on CD and vinyl. The Eye is the First Circle, not only a sight for sore eyes, but well worth the wait, I think. It'll be getting regular playings from me, and I look forward to any future recordings.
Indeed, terrific stuff.
Love to catch it live, actually. I'd love to see that live.
That would be, it would be live. Like Catherine Winfeld, we saw the last year, I think it was, at the London Jazz Festival. Wonderful.
I think it could have been our friend Julian Wilson on the sax solo on there as well.
Terrific stuff. Well, of course, we are both fans of the wonderful Tomasz Stanko. Had the great pleasure of interviewing him a few years back at the London Jazz Festival over at Cadogan Hall. Just very informally sat at a little table out in the foyer there. It was wonderful. And of course, sadly, Thomas has been gone a few years now. Well known to many, perhaps, for his wonderful stream of albums. I don't know how many on ECM, which I'm sure a lot of people still really enjoy, and of course bringing on his trio, his rhythm section at the time, which went on to become in its own right an ECM band of great renown, Marcin Wasilewski trio. But of course Thomas himself goes way back, way before the Marcin Wasilewski trio any of them were even born. Thomas was playing back in the 60s in his homeland of Poland when it wasn't so open as it is now, and celebrating jazz and getting music in from the States on cassette and etc., and playing in a much more freestyle quite a lot of the time. And some of his early music, or early-ish music, has just been re-released. Wooden Music Volume 2, which of course means there is a Wooden Music Volume 1. But Volume 2 has just been released via NUR Culture on the Astigmatic label via Bandcamp, and also a limited run of CDs. Thought I'd get myself one of those as an early Christmas present. Well, just got it in any case. Lots of extended playing on this one, but good stuff all the same. We're going to dip into the track called Calm. there it fades and goes into the next track. As you can gather, a piece of collective improvisation recorded at the Jazz House in Hamburg in 1972. November 1972 for that matter, so yes, almost not quite exact, but not a million miles away to the day, only a couple of weeks out, isn't it? A track called Calm. Tomasz Stanko with his quintet at the time, much sort of fresher, yes, you could even call it a younger tone, couldn't you, I dare say, and not so many sort of growls and smears that he really sort of favoured in later years, I don't think, and some slightly deeper tone he had as well, but obviously a much younger man they're playing with, again, more, I suppose, more of the energy of youth. As we often say on this programme, it's amazing how many players who are really angry players in their youth become so much more mellow if they play for 30, 40, 50 years onwards. You just hear the sort of that tone mellow out, and maybe even the ideas become more mellow, I don't know. Right, we'll have a go at the band names in any case. Tomasz Stanko himself, of course, on trumpet. Zbigniew Siefert on violin. Janusz Muniak on soprano, saxophone, flute and percussion. Bronislaw Sucinek on double bass, and Janusz Stefanski on drums, and, which we did hear actually featured on that track briefly, the Flexotone. I've got one of those too, lurking away at home somewhere. It's just out again. You can catch it via Bandcamp. You can get the download, the limited number of CDs you can order if you wish to, and it's Wooden Music Volume 2.
Very good indeed. And next from me, a piano trio plus one. As regular listeners will know, we love this format on the show, and when there is a plus one who sounds such an integral part of the music, it really should best be described as a quartet, and then as a quartet minus one when their significant other is missing. Originally to come together as a trio back in 2007, the Espen Eriksson trio, who first recorded together in 2010, are as telepathic as a close-knit ensemble can be, and incorporating Andy Shepherd's silky and liquid tenor is the icing on the cake. Here's The Other Side of Melancholy. The Other Side of Melancholy for the Espen trio with Andy Shepherd. Although Shepherd has a good 20 years lead on the trio, he never sounds less than fully absorbed into the music and fully in tune with the band. As Good As It Gets, which is the title of the album, might actually be a fact as well as an album title. This is the trio's 7th release on the Norwegian Rune Gramophone label and the 3rd with Andy Shepherd, and it simply leaves you wanting more. Perfectly formed chamber jazz. All you need to do is seek out an evening and spend it with a nice glass of something.
This one you might have to wait until after Christmas because it's not due to be released until January the 26th. This is the Jacob Mantz project on the wonderful German label Act in their Young German Jazz series. Well, I confess I'm not familiar with his work, but as always when you look at the notes, whatever, he's already achieved an amazing amount, and he's in his 20s, I think. At 15, he was at Stuttgart Music University. They offered him a special place as a youth student. At 17, he joined the ranks of the German National Youth Jazz Orchestra. Still in his teens, he won several prestigious German jazz awards, released his acclaimed Act debut, which I haven't got, but I don't know, you might know it, Natural Energy. It's not one I'm familiar with. At 19, performed at all the major German festivals and also abroad. You get the picture. He's already achieved quite a bit, and I think he's only 20. Yes, I know, you just feel a little bit sort of like a non-entity sometimes, don't you? Well, this is his second one. I thought it might have been his first. His second on Act, like I said, being released next month after, in fact. No, we're not quite in December yet, are we? In the end of January. This is a track called Voyage Surreal. Great fade out there. And if you thought that sounded a little bit like Lionel Luecki on guitar and vocals, you'd be right, because there are some guest appearances, Lionel being one of them on this album. And Jacob Mance, we're just looking at, he has had a few out, and if you've heard of Groove Connection, which we might have featured, I can't remember, back earlier in the year, he's the front man of Groove Connection, as well as playing with this band now, which is the, like I said, the second album under that collective on Act, and it finds him in the company of quite a few of his regulars who he's been playing with for some time now, and it features Hannes Stossmeier on piano, Frieda Klein on bass, Paul Albrecht drums, and also the percussion work of Carl Degenhardt, and as I say, Lionel Luecki vocaling on that one, and a couple of other guest appearances as well. It is, as you can imagine, again, fairly groove-orientated music, quite driven by that way, almost dancey in places, so on the sort of more commercial side, I would say, of things, certainly compared to the Tomasz Stanko a little bit earlier, but maybe nothing bad about that. And as we often say, is it car music? Is it whiskey music? Late night music? I put this one into the car category. You can whack this on the car stereo on a nice day and really enjoy it. But you'll have to wait until next summer, because it doesn't come out till the end of January on the wonderful Act label.
Indeed. And next from me, well, we're back off to Australia again. I wasn't feeling particularly Antipodean when I put things together, but there we go. And to Nightjar, the sixth release from the new Australia cool band, The Vampires. The band are regularly inviting guests to join, and often from their favourite Aussie minimalist group, The Necks, who were touring just recently. And they, in fact, follow the band with such enthusiasm, the band's saxophonist has even published an essay on the band, Memory and Mindfulness in the Musical Rituals of the Necks, examining musical ritualistic practices beyond the African-American realm, capable of scaffolding transcendent experience, which is, I'm sure, what you were all thinking
that,
if you've listened to a few Necks albums. So while they have previously worked with nearly all of the other band members of the Necks, this most record recording finds them with the Necks pianist Chris Abrahams, and is perhaps their most successful one to date. Here's the opening track, Game Changers. Game Changers from the Vampires, featuring the next pianist Chris Abrahams. Really, really liking that. The whole album has a Fellini-like gauze drawn over the band's cool ensemble work, easily shifting gear between the cool and club-ready dub tracks laden with reverb, and yet never losing sight of the band's strictly jazz underpinnings. Getting repeat plays from me, Nightjar is out now and available in all the remaining jazz record specialist shops.
Yeah, there aren't many of those, are there?
No, we're not even in London, sad to say.
No, indeed. Well, it's very appropriate, really. We're still in this month, November. Well, according to Jeremy Pelt, anyway.
Hey folks, this is Ant Law here, Ant Law Guitar. You're listening to Jumpin In, Chris and H on Manx Radio.
There we go. Have you learned that yet?
Nearly working on it, yeah.
Yeah, right, a quick twofer for you there. So first off, Jeremy Pelt. Not a new release, 2008, the wonderful album November featuring J.D. Allen on tenor, Danny Grissett piano, Dwayne Burno bass, Gerald Cleaver on drums, Jeff Haynes on percussion, 2008. But I did actually pick that up while we were down at London Jazz. Now I've played it, I've got a horrible suspicion I might already own a copy, which is a bit worrying. And then straight into a man, I just, for nothing other than he's always wonderful, and one of the few artists that you can catch on a Friday night, as indeed you could have done this very Friday on Sweet and Swing, and then followed by the same artist playing on Jumpin In the same sort of slightly more modern vogue. Oscar Peterson, of course, with a little jazz exercise. And,
taken from tracks worth digging out if you don't have it.
Wonderful.
Yep, that's sadly about it for this week's show, but before we go, there's just time to fit in a new single, of all things, from Swedish pianist and composer Adam Forkelid. We featured Adam on the show a couple of times, and his last album, First Movement, was one of my favourites from 2022. So let's hope that this couple of singles he's released since were all going to be the advance guard for another album, which indeed I had a look on the website and found he's promising a new album, Turning Point, for spring 2024. I can't wait. Here's No Looking Back, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next week.
And Christmas. Cheerio.
Bye for now. Pass me that Easter egg.